What's up, guys? I'm here with Moneyhead, and we're gonna be going over 3800 Sugar Ridge.
Me and Justin, we're gonna break this deal down, how I got this deal, how we closed it, how we put it on the investor list. It was an easy deal,
So how much money did we make on this deal?
3,000.
All right, cool. So we're gonna be going over step 1 through 5 here on how this actually got done. So how did you find this deal? Like, what is the trick to making a list?
Okay, so what I do is I go on Riff and my market is Detroit, so I just put in Detroit on the search bar and I put in a fixer upper tab, the filter. And it bring me a list of properties, and I just make a list of properties. But when we did this deal, I was in Dallas, so made me a long list, probably like 50 properties and stuff, and I started calling agents.
Even though it provides that list of all those fixer-uppers,
Right.
how do you know it's like every one is accurate, or like how do you like remove certain ones, or
Right, so it's just gonna give you a list, and you just gonna scroll through the pictures. If it look like it needs some rehab, you go ahead and put it on your list. Get ready to call on it tomorrow, the next day, whenever you're ready.
Okay. So how often are you checking that list to make sure you're rebuilding it to call those people?
I make a list every day.
Okay. Awesome.
Every day, new list.
And there's quite a few people that need fixer-uppers every day?
Yep. Every day.
So you making like 100 calls a day, or what is it?
I probably make, I like sniper and the Jerry method, so I probably a good 30 calls a day, 40 calls, 50 calls around there.
Okay, so if you're making around that calls a day, like is there like a certain goal like people should have like on how many offers they should try to make a day, or like how many like good like people who want to send you more deals, like, or how do you get them to send you more deals?
So I basically, when I reach out to this list, call all this list, and like do all the underwriting. So the goals is to, like, just create friends all throughout the day and at least send out 5 offers.
Okay. So you send out 5 offers, and how often are you hitting that? Like, it's pretty easy to do that for anyone in the country, just start calling 30, 50 people and place 5 offers?
Yeah, I say it's pretty much easy. Some people, it might be a challenge for them to get on the phone with agents, but it's pretty much simple to me. But yeah, as long as you consistent with it, you just talk to people, you really just making friends for real and just offers.
Yeah, for sure. So you're already calling people who have these like investor flipper transactions.
Right.
So when you're talking to them, it's like, how are you starting the conversation? Because like how I see like any sales conversation, it's like you're getting their attention, getting them to know who you are, and then trying to get their interest or find problems. And
so pretty much when talking to agents, they already expecting people to call them about their property. So you just call in, you just ask them like, what's the market feedback on this property? Or you ask them like, what's the backstory on this property? And they're just gonna start talking.
So they're just talking back and forth with you, and what are like some of the typical objections you're getting like when you're trying to place an offer on that deal? Are you a wholesaler? Okay, so how are you handling that main objection?
I never say I'm not a wholesaler, I just say I'm a buyer.
Okay. So you just tell them you're a buyer, doing fix and flips and rentals, give them some background on you.
Right.
All right. So once you build that clarification on who you are, like you gotta see like, is it a long days on market or?
Right. Yeah. So it's all you go after all these leads differently. So if it's something that's on the market, it's the same day on the market, you kind of want to be nice to them because they haven't got like any other feedback. So they probably thinking in their head, he probably don't know what he talk about. I can talk to the next person. But if it's something that's been sitting on the market, then you can have like a more realistic conversation with them.
Yeah, that's very important because they have different perspectives, and you got to know who your audience of who you're talking to is. Because like, if like we recently closed a deal with the seller financing, but it was sitting long days on market.
Right.
Since they've been sitting long days on market, we know they were like getting a lot of lowball cash offers, so we tried pitching seller financing. So that's how they were potentially interested in that.
Right.
So like, you got to know was this specific deal here like low days on market or long days on market?
So I actually called an agent about a property. Did I get him an offer? I don't know yet. But he was telling me, because I always like to ask, do you think this would be good for a fix and flip? And they'll tell you if it's good for a fix and flip or if it's not. And he was just real enough to just know and just tell me, like, this not a good one for a fix and flip. So I just asked him, do you got anything else? And he told me that he actually got a property that he trying to wholesale. So when he sent me the address, I underwrote the property and I told him this not the property for me, but I might have a buyer for this one. Do you mind JVing? And he told me I can give it to you at 210, and you can just put your fee on top.
Okay.
And I also told him I got access to an investor lift. Do you mind if I put it on the investor lift? He told me he don't mind. I can put it up there.
Okay, so you told the realtor you're gonna JV with him. So how do you like exactly prime up the conversation to get a realtor to be comfortable with you being the wholesaler on this transaction, rather because like I deal with a lot of agents and they're really against that.
Right. So when he sent me the deal, he told me he was wholesaling it. So when I underwrite it, and I told him like this not the one for me, but I probably have somebody that might be interested in it. Then I end up having. Then he said that's cool, that's okay, whoop. Then we were just talking, and I told him that I have access to an investor list. But what else I'll do is, if I see like if the agent is a wholesaler or something, and I don't want to tell them that I'm a wholesaler, I'll tell them like my little brother wholesales. I can send it to him. He could probably sell this for you.
For sure. Okay. So for people who are doing that for the first time, like how do they negotiate like the percentage of like, or like you said that you had to add the fee on top?
Put my fee on top. So I underwrite the deal, and it was like actually a real deal. So I had a little bit of room to put my fee on top. So that's what I did. So I probably could have negotiated him a little bit more, but it was like 4 other wholesalers on the deal. So
Wow.
I'm just about to get the job done.
100%.
Easy money.
So if it's 210,000, right? Like that we had to do it and get it under, like that's the lowest he would take. So what was like the ARV of the property and what was like the rehab for our investor to make money when we're promoting it to them?
So the ARV on the property, we got it at 210, and the ARV on the property was 350. And rehab probably like around 40 to 50,000. It's just basically cosmetics, and it has something wrong with the pool, so the pool had to get fixed.
All right, let me actually break this down for people. So, not a good one there. 210 with 50, and this 350, right?
ARV.
Horrible handwriting here, guys. Now you know that I should not be writing this stuff. So, 350. Now, when someone has a listing agent, commission with the title company, and then they have some lender costs, if they're trying to flip this deal, that's going to be like another 15, 17% or so for like the lender and everything, depending on how long their holding costs. It might be a month, 2 months. You never know like how long these projects can roll out. So if it was like 15%, right? That's going to be like
15% of the 50?
It's going to be minus 52, so about 297 left, right?
52,000.
Yeah. So 297, right, is going to be remaining. So now this flipper is going to be able to make 37 grand potentially, which is good for the investment they put in and how much time they might have to put in. If it's just pool and cosmetics, they might be able to do that entire rehab in like 3 weeks, get it relisted, and have it sold in 1, 2, 3 months, depending on that specific neighborhood on how fast it'll sell. So looks good there. And like, do you know anything about the rent? Because he might want to rent this out too.
Rent? I don't know too much about the rent, but I think it was a tenant there. And I think they was paying like around 1,800 to 2,000, something like that.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I don't think that would make too much as a rental than if he refinanced, but definitely could be solid if he just sold it and cashed out that 37 grand. So now that people understand the underwriting and how to get like to the decision of promoting it to the buyers, which because now we had to upload it on InvestLip, but to do that we needed the proper underwriting and breakdown of the deal.
Mm-hmm.
So what is your like idea of InvestLip? Like not a lot of people use that. There is a free version if people just want to use God mode, but like what did you do on InvestLip to get this sold?
5 cars.
5.
Say that. But I put it on InvestLip. I was getting like offers, like a little bit of like global offers, and like a lot of wholesalers calling me. And the buyer that I actually went with, he tried to negotiate me so low, then it ended up just coming up high. And as I keep telling him that's not gonna work, he kept coming up, and stuff. So then we end up bringing him up to 213 and stuff. So I was like, okay, JV deal, let's just get it done, get over with.
Yeah.
Went with him as a buyer. He put the earnest money down. Then while we was like, when it was ready to close, he ain't come to the closing, and the agent was actually mad about that. But he wasn't mad at me at all because
he knew you were
he
wholesaling.
knew I was wholesaling.
Yeah, but definitely understand where he could be pissed since like he thought the deal wasn't gonna get done. But
right. But then the buyer ended up calling us the next day and stuff and trying to reschedule with us. But then the agent ain't want to do the deal with him. But then he said he'll put $300,000 in earnest money, so that he had $8,000 earnest money. So if he wasn't to perform, we was just gonna take the $8,000 and split it down.
Yeah.
The middle for everybody.
Okay.
But he ended up performing, and we ended up getting a deal closed.
Awesome. Awesome. So we do have a live audience here today. As we were breaking down this deal, hopefully they were learning a little bit about the story of how we did this deal. So now we're gonna do a Q&A.
Yo, did you guys learn anything?
We did, yes. Yes. We learned some negotiating with buyers, how to negotiate and get them to the right price.
And how to find a good JV deal.
Right.
How to stay consistent as well.
I have a question.
How to make your buyers list.
What's the biggest thing you think you have to overcome on this deal, like a good learning lesson for you?
Well, I was tell you what I learned about this deal is buyers be lying. They can say way more.
So basically, buyers will come up.
They will come up.
Okay.
They will come up. If you try hard enough and negotiate and do different like actual underwriting and know the deal is good enough and can explain the comp should actually get you this 350. I don't know why you're saying 330.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
I got a question.
What's up, Ray Sean Lewis?
Alright, so I just want to know, what lets you know that your deal is a good deal? What lets you know, like, what buyer to go with on that specific deal?
You have to underwrite it, and you got to know basically what your buyer wanted to do. So if you bring in a property that's fully renovated and they want like almost asking price, and it's probably it probably is a investment property, but it need to go to what they call a buying holder, and you sending that to a fix and flipper, they're not gonna want that. So what was your question again?
How do you know when your deal is a good deal? And
Okay, like knowing who to take it to. Knowing who to take it to and underwriting the deal the correct way. 70% of the ARV or 75% of the ARV minus repairs, minus your wholesale fee.
I got a question. Did you leave an inquiry or did you use Artemis mode?
I use I use Artisan mode.
That's how you found them?
Yep.
Awesome. So you were just, calling the Artemis mode list?
Yep, calling the list and just sending the deal out.
Sweet. Beautiful. So you were doing outreach instead of the inbound buyer coming in?
I had both, outreach and inbound, but
this specific buyer was outbound, right?
Mhm.
Cool. That just tells you that, you guys got to start utilizing Artemis mode on every deal.
Right.
And not just expect the buyer to come in, right?
Yeah. Well, that actually is an incoming lead in my opinion still, because they viewed it. You can see the exact amount of seconds,
That's why
but
someone do it.
but they're just lazy and need a little bit of help and guidance from us to push them
Yep.
to do that deal with us.
100%.
Exactly.
That's how I sold my deal.
Kind
with 5 calls.
of just laid in their hands for them. You know what I'm saying?
5 calls.
5 calls this month.
What would you guys tell any new wholesalers trying to start off and get into the business?
Stay consistent.
Stay consistent.
Stay consistent, because if you can't continuously make a list every single day, call the agents and underwrite enough deals, you're not going to have enough reps.
To even get better.
You're not a real hustler. Simple as that.
Besides investor lift, what other ways are you marketing your deals? What other ways are you getting your deal across the buyer's desk in front of the buyers?
If you have like a buyer's list, or you can upload it in Facebook groups.
You can also talk to different
God mode.
realtors. You can use Investor Lift God mode, Artemis mode. There's a buyers tab with 6 million buyers, and there's filters. Oh, cash buyer, rental buyer, land buyer.
Malachi.
So you can also find buyers to JV partners as well.
Oh yeah, you can use a lot of JV partners. We use a lot of JV partners for our deals.
Shout out to Zach and Tyler.
Just like me and Mario JV'd on this deal, because we gave the systems for the buyers, and he had the system of making a list.
Did you guys utilize Facebook Marketplace?
Yeah, so some deals we do use Facebook Marketplace for homestead buyers.
We do, Malachi.
What's a homestead buyer?
Homestead buyers are people who want to live in the house.
So they buying this living.
Yeah.
Okay.
For a new wholesaler, how important is building a relationship with that real estate agent?
It's very important. That's probably the most important thing you need to do. Because you build a relationship with an agent, you do one deal with them, they keep bringing you deals. Jamil Damji actually got a real estate agent that he make $1 million a year with.
Other than that, guys, 2025 we're taking over. Come on now.
Yeah,
You buy
taking
houses?
over the
Nah,
world.
we buy houses.
We buy
You
houses.
buy houses anywhere.